All right, Parashat Yitro. Parashat Yitro, everybody is expecting to talk about the Ten Commandments, about, whatever, production. But I'm not going to talk about the production. I'm going to talk about something different. We already said before, many times, that the reason that Yitro, also known as Jethro, not Tal, just Jethro, was made him to be Chozer B'Tshuva, was the rumor, or the news that he heard about the splitting of the Red Sea and the war of Amalek. I mean, without a doubt, he also heard about all the other things that God has done to the Egyptians, the 10 plagues, the great miracles that happened there. However, those two things were what actually caused them to come over to the camp of the Jews. And the Rabbeinu says, the rabbi says, that there is a very, very deep issue here that it's hiding here. That's what I want to bring into light. It says regarding the Kadosh Baruch Hu, it says, Leit atar panui mineh. There is no place that God is not in it. Leit atar, there is no place. Atar is a place. Panui, that is vacant from God. Everything is filled with God. And He is memale kol almin. He fills the whole entire universe, the whole entire existence. He is everywhere and He is in everywhere. And then He says, Sovev al kol almin. He's around everything. The idol worshippers, and I'm going to tell you something that might, you know what's coming next, that might irritate some of you, but as you all know,
you don't care.
I don't care, right? I don't care. I'm going to tell you something. A derivative of idol worshiping is secularism and everything that comes along with it. And I'm going to show you why. Why is that? A person who is secular really stems his ideas from idol worshippers. And so idol worshippers know that there is a creator to the world, and He created creation, everything in there. And however, they don't really realize that what they build and what they do is actually a derivative of God Himself, right? But rather they say that God created the world and He gave it to His servants, right? I mean, even some of them will be righteous enough to say, well, God is so great and awesome, therefore we cannot relate to it, so let's put an intermediate into that. Now, that will be the sun, the moon, whatever statues you put around, and so on and so forth, right? And they make a statue for it. And with the statue, they so-called connect to the servants of God Himself. And that, of course, is not the will of God. And they know that they do something that is directly against the will of God. However, it seems like that is the area, that's their domain, in which God does not really get involved, right? Of course, that their avodah zarah seems like it's working. And what do I mean by it seems like it's working? People go into some kind of like a place of idol worshiping. They enter sick and they come out healthy. So it seems like hey, it's working, Hey, let's go on with this. Rabbi Akiva says that this is the place that HaKadosh Baruch Hu left for a mistake to happen. That's where God made him, left the place for a mistake to happen. And that was done in order to allow people to have a free choice. Each and every one of us has a free choice. Now, you got to be very careful what you choose. But each and every one of us has a free choice. The idol worshippers think that God gave all these areas and all these businesses, right? And He does not get involved with it, right? God is like somewhere up in the heavens, right? And that's what the kings at the time used to think. It says, well, when you refer to Heavenly Father, you're in the heavens, you're the Heavenly Father, and this kingdom is mine, and since this kingdom is mine, I am the king and I'll do what I want. You see why I said that secularism is a derivative of idol worshiping. Now, in other words, when they say that, that means that there is a place that God is not in, and this is the root of their heresy. That concept that there is a place that God is not there. And Chazal explained to us that if a person says that there is a place, maybe the most tameh place of all, that God is not there, he's limiting God to that place. He's in a way putting a limit, in a way, to God. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we know that it's not the case. That's why a person needs to be very careful wherever he is to be in the presence of God. Now, Yam Suf, the Red Sea, was maybe at the time the most tameh place possible. Now, why is that? Because the Egyptians refer to it also as a certain type of a god for them, and they worship that. But what happens? HaKadosh Baruch Hu came in, split the Red Sea in half. He entered the Red Sea to show you. He entered the Red Sea in a pillar of smoke and cloud in it, and he showed by this, as we said before, leit atar panui mine. God is everywhere, and that in a way kind of contradicted this whole dogma that they had, this whole entire avodah zarah. And together with that, everything the Yitro, which was a chief avodah zaratnik, right? He was a chief idol worshiper. He was a priest for idol worshiping. That, in a way, shattered all his belief. Shattered all his belief. Another thing is, Yitro saw how the Egyptian enslaved the Jews, and Paro did whatever he felt like doing, right? Just like many people do today. And when you feel, by the way, you should know, when you feel that you could do whatever you want and nobody, you could do whatever you want, at the end you're going to enslave people. You're not going to treat people right.
Celebrities.
Excuse me?
Celebrities.
Celebrities, you're absolutely correct. Celebrities, you're right. And we are the morons who follow them, who worship them. So we are slaves of slaves. That's obvious, right? So he did so for 210 years, and in a way nothing stopped Paro. He did whatever he wanted. HaKadosh Baruch Hu did not get involved, right? And you might come and be mistaken that the Egyptians at the time were the elite of humankind, of humanity, and and why is that? Because they received their power from their idol worshiping, from their avodah zarah, and that's why God does not dare to be there, and they can do whatever they want. They can do whatever they want. But then what happens? Came the milchama of Amalek, and Amalek came because rafu yedehem shel Israel min haTorah u'me'emunah. The Jews became doubtful about the Torah and about the belief in God. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu handed them over in the hands of those impure people, which was the Amalekim. In a way, it seems like God had left them alone. Like, where's your God? Remember the scene from the first season of Fauda at the end? When the guy comes to him and says, where's your God? Pray to your God, right? And then the guy comes in and kills him. That's where God is. Yes, it's a nice fauda, whatever it is, but hey, it's true. That's what it is. Now, but then everybody saw that HaKadosh Baruch Hu fought with Amalek, and that's why we are obligated to erase the memory of Amalek until the end of time. These two things, the splitting of the Red Sea and the wall of Amalek, kind of canceled the whole thesis of Yitro and really made him, in a way, throw everything behind and convert, in other words, join the camp of God. Now, of course, we are coming to the epic story of receiving the Torah. And that epic story of receiving the Torah seems in a certain way a little bit uncomfortable. And why is that? Because it seems like we were forced to receive the Torah. Now let's see exactly what happened. So another famous event or important event that happened, we find really in the Midrash. We don't find it in the Torah, we find them in the Midrash. And the Midrash means it's something for us to learn. It's a lesson for us to learn. The Kabbalah says that there is no oppression. You can't oppress, you can't force something when it comes to spirituality. En kfiya beruchniyut. When it comes to that. You can force a person to be a spiritual person. You can force anybody to receive upon himself the burden or the authority of Torah or mitzvot. You can't. It doesn't make a difference what you say. Ultimately, it's his choice. The same thing as, there's a lot of, and it's really, it's rooted deeply in spiritual matters, this concept. I mean, just as much as you cannot force a person to love you if they don't. There's a beautiful song by Bonnie Raitt, whatever her name is. You can love me if you can make me love you if you, I can make you love you if you don't. I mean, it's a very spiritual song. It's one of the songs you cannot listen more than like a few times a year. And it's so depressing. It's so like in your face. Now, that is a mistake that we make many times. We think that we could force people, if we said the right thing, to keep Torah mitzvot, to change their ways, to do what they want to do, to do what we want them to do, to become more spiritual, to love us. You can't do that. And if you are trying to do it, you're wasting your time. You can give people the information, you can give people the tools, and ultimately you have to understand it's their choice to live their life this way or the other way. However, you should know that it works the other way around, right? You can't come now and hold the mizbeach in which you kicked on. You can't hold the altar and say, "Oh, you can't take me out of it." Excuse me, you didn't believe in that. Don't come crying to me. Because it works both ways. In any way, we still read in the Midrash, it says the following, Amdu Yisrael behar Sinai aruchim. Bnei Yisrael got ready at the at the bottom of Mount Sinai. Men in one way, women in the other way, to keep certain holiness. And at that moment, the Mount Sinai was uplifted from its ground. The whole mountain was uplifted, and it was lifted up in the air. Huh? Yes. And it says over there, Kafa Kadosh Baruch Hu Har Kigigit Ad Yisrael. He took the mountain and put it like a bucket over their heads. And it says, Im mekablim atem alechem et haTorah. If you get the Torah, if you receive the Torah, mutar, good. Ve'im lav, and if not, sham tiyeh kiburatchem. There you're going to be buried. So, at that moment, everybody was screaming up out loud, and they all returned to Hashem. They made repentance, they made teshuvah, and they said, Kol asher diber Hashem, whatever God has spoken, na'aseh v'nishma, we'll do and we'll hear. We're not getting into it. And if you want to look further into it, you can look also in Masechet Avodah Zarah, which we just did. But what does it mean that he forced them? What does it mean that he forced them? You threaten them in life and death. Is there such a thing? It's not a threat. But they did something. I want to tell you something that brings me to the amazing story that is coming out now from all the hostages that are coming back from the murderous Hamas people. That the Hamas tried to force the Jewish soldiers, female soldiers, by beating the daylight out of them constantly, tried to force them, showing them videos of the atrocities that they did in Israel, and to the male soldiers, the atrocity, and they tried to force them to convert to Islam so they could marry them and never return them. And those girls, heroes, they said, no, we're not going to do that. Yeah, somebody should speak about it. No, it's not a hunky-dory, pitchy kid. It's all good. Somebody should say and speak up about the atrocities that is going on there, and how this brave men and women, especially the women, what they were able to go through and pull out. I mean, it's unbelievable. So, but we do learn she'en ra yored min hashamayim. Nothing bad comes from the sky. So therefore, what are we talking about here? What is that the concept of oppression, of forcing the people to receive the Torah, to this tremendous, unbelievable experience of Mount Sinai over there, and not the hospital, yeah? But we need to understand where we live in a world of great unclarities, and a lot of stuff is hidden. The word olam hints for the word he'alem. He'alem means hidden. And I think if I'm going to look, for example, at the word olam, which is ayin vav lamed mem, the numerical value of that is 146. 146 is the same numerical value of bechol levavchem, with all your heart. The real emunah comes when you don't understand things, when things are not clear to you and you're still following your emunah. I think that's a nice remez behind us for us to understand. The reality of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is hidden from us. Because it says, Achen ata kel mistater, you are hidden God. So in the event of Mount Sinai, Am Yisrael reached such a level of clarity, cleanness, and most important, unity, that all the barriers between the physical world and the spiritual world have been removed. Now pay close attention. As it says, Patach lahem HaKadosh Baruch Hu shiv'a rekiim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu opened all dimension, all the 7 rekiim. Don't just call it a sky. I mean, what's a sky? A sky is nothing, right? Rekiim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu showed them beyond the 7 dimensions. Every rakia is a different dimension. He showed them everything to the point that even tinokot beveten imam, even embryos in the stomach of the mothers, were able to, what we say, see the lights. See the sounds. They saw the sounds. If you want to know further that, you can look in Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan books when he talks about his book about meditation in the Bible. I would highly recommend this book, Meditation in the Bible, which was Rav Aryeh Kaplan Alav Shalom Yortzeit 2 days ago. So in that way as well. And what we say, so from one end of the world to the other, from one end of the universe until the other, it was beyond time and space they were able to go. And by doing so, they were able to recognize the absolute divine reality. And in a state like this, you don't have a choice anymore. When God is revealed to you to such an extent, it's overwhelming. And that's why the Midrash tells us that every word that God had spoken, they died and they had to be revived. So God, in a way, is hidden from us to give us choice to come to Him, so we could have a choice. In a state like this, it's like oppression. God did not oppress them, but rather what HaKadosh Baruch Hu did, He showed them the whole entire thing. And as when the good is complete and is all revealed in front of you, at that point, as just for them, all they had to do is Na'aseh v'nishma, we'll hear and we'll do. In other words, to receive upon ourselves all Malchut Shamayim completely. But the question is, how do we actually receive that all Malchut Shamayim completely? And that brings us to a very interesting point. That point is called, how is it called? Anybody know? What do you know? It's called love.
Ahava.
Love. Love means ahava. And it's really worth it to see how many times the world, you have the concordatia or whatever. Don't trust all this AI, but trust the book. How many times we have the word ahava in the Torah? How many times ahava? We are commanded to love God because it says ve'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha bechol levavcha bechol nafshecha bechol meodecha. And I said to you before bechol meodecha means also the things that you don't understand and you don't see. And Chazal tells us that the peak of love, what love is all about, is actually revealed in this parasha. Because the Torah needs to be received through love. And it has to be received with love. Without getting into what love is. I'm not going to sing you here, I want to know what love is. You can listen to Foreigner if you want to know what love is, but I'm going to tell you something else. I'll just bring a little bit of some ideas that Chazal had shared with us, and they say that there are few things that are really fundamental as a foundation of our existence. And one of them is the concept of love. One of the concept of love. Our sages explain to us that children are born naturally happy. Children are born naturally happy. Of course, we need to ask ourselves what happened at the end that we have driven away from this happiness. Children are usually born completely healthy, and this all depends on the level of love of the parents. If there is love between the parents, the children would be successful. You're going to have a lot of nachat from your children. And if not, there is a blemish in that concept of love, and the kids are going to come up with a lot of problems. In order to give birth, to bring about something that is perfect, you need to have great love to what is that you do. Whether it's great love to your job, or great love to your wife, or to your husband, or great love to your people. In order to do something that is good and perfection, in the level of perfection, you must do it from the place called love. Not money. In other words, it means that love is already a level that indicates wholeness, perfection, and not a feeling of initial excitement or some kind of like a momentary urge that you get. That's not what love is. We see that the concept of love, and we still spoke about it a million times, and the concept of one really go hand in hand. And when Am Israel, when the Jews stood in Har Sinai, keguf echad, as one nation, as one body, then God has revealed himself to them as he revealed himself to the universe, to creation, in the time of Bereshit. These are the only time that God has revealed himself completely is in Maaseh Bereshit and Yetziat Mitzrayim, and that's what we say in the Kiddush and Kiddush Shabbat. What? Zikaron leMaaseh Bereshit, Zecher L'Yetziat Mitzrayim, Zecher L'Yetziat Mitzrayim. There's going to be one more time that God is going to reveal himself, and that's going to be at the ultimate war that is going to be on Jerusalem, where God is going to reveal himself, and he's going to put his legs on Mount Olives, and the mountain is going to split into two, and waters will come out. But I'm going to tell you that something like this. When God is going to reveal himself at that point, you can't say, okay, I believe in God now. It's going to be too late. Since you don't know when it is, but fix yourself now. You better fix yourself now. So, when there is a separation, so therefore we know that the power of the snake overcomes. Because the snake gave a separation. The snake separated between man, Adam and Chava, and between mankind and God. So when we are separated, we allow that impure powers to come about. When there's no unity between a husband and wife, there's no love. Yes, today the concept of love really went bankrupt, right? And when love is not some sexual desire. That's not what love is. But rather love is another word for unity. And when there's no unity, and when the two parents speak two different languages, right? Eino shomea b'kol aviv u'b'kol imo. We have the din. We have the concept of ben sorer or more of a rebellious child that become really messed up, and now he's now it's all trouble. In this parasha, Rabotai, there's great love. There's great love, first of all, on behalf of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to his people. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God, says to us, Ve'ayitim li segula michol ha'amim. And you're going to be separate and unique from me from all the nations. Ki li kol ha'aretz, because I am the King of Kings. I am God. Ve'atem, and you should be tiyu li mamlechet kohanim v'goy kadosh. You're going to, mamlechet kohanim means as a kohen, as a priest, serves God. Your job is to serve me, and you're going to be a holy nation. A holy nation, also a separated nation. You can't do it. You're going to serve me. That great love of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that love is so great that in this parasha, Am Yisrael says, immediately, Naaseh v'nishma, we'll marry you. We say okay. We say yes. I do. Kol asher yaseh Hashem, Naaseh v'nishma. We are willing to accept upon ourselves everything that you're going to tell us with love. That's why I keep telling you, stop complaining about the mitzvot. First, stop complaining about everything. I'll tell you this 1,000,000 times. But stop complaining about the mitzvot. Don't tell me that the mitzvot that you do are difficult for you. Don't tell me Shabbat is too long for you. Don't make Shabbat out at 13 and a half minutes or 22 and a half minutes or 30 minutes after sunset. Do Shabbat like Rabbeinu Tam, 72 minutes after sunset. Don't tell me it's too hard for you to come to a minyan or to daven or to put filling on. Don't tell me that. Do you know why don't tell me that? Because I don't want you to suffer. And what do I mean by suffering? You're going to live empty life. Life with no love in it. Because the mitzvot that we do, the mitzvot that God has given us, are an act of love, and the way we do the mitzvot is how we love HaKadosh Baruch Hu back. So don't ever complain about the ways of God. Ever. And the root of that exists in each and every one of us. All what we need to do is to just clean up the vessel, purify the vessel, in order to be able to connect to this point inside of us, which is Ahava Shlema, the core, the nucleus inside of us, that is pure love, that is not, and that is what we call the Nitzotz Eloki, that spark that God has put inside of us, that is His divine spark. From that point, we need to connect to life, we need to connect to the mitzvot, we need to connect to one another. This is the point in which we connect to God. Ahavat Hashem, Ahavat Abriot, and that's what we say, Ve'afta lereacha kamocha. Now you should love your fellow Jew like you love yourself. A person who is selfish, separates himself from the klal, don't tell me he cares about anybody, cares about himself. You care about yourself, you're going to be by yourself. You want to know how Mashiach is going to come? I'm going to tell you. Mashiach is going to come through unity. But you know why? Because when we say, Mashiach yavo, אני מאמין במשיח שיבוא. מה זה יבוא? י' ב' א', יבוא. י' ב' א', יבוא. The numerical value of yavo is 13. When we going to love one another then there's going to be unity, then there's going to be salvation. Shabbat Shalom.